All right. So we're back. Ron Carter here, Brian Marsolais, Mind
Right
Design
on.
Podcast. So
24 maybe?
whatever,
Yeah.
24, 24-ish, 25. So yeah, so we're just gonna hop right back into the conversation that we were just in before we hit the record button. Okay, like getting in the water, okay, my main objective for like working out so much now and doing like the cardio and like lifting weights and like yeah, I want to look better and I want to have a six pack. Like that's there too. But ultimately, it's like that. You know how you said when you're in the water and you're in that washing machine, like you're gonna come up, and
Yeah,
it's okay,
just don't freak out. Just relax. You're gonna come up.
right? Well, the experience that I had a month ago, I noticed has like scarred me from that of like just getting like demolished and having this 9 foot barrel like just it was. I was talking to my friend about it the other day again. My friend who was there, and he was like, "Dude, that it was gnarly because it was like barreling to the flats. It wasn't like barreling on top of the wave. It was just 9 feet straight to the flat and broke right in front of me." But now I know it's like, yeah, it's turbulent. It's like there's a bunch of cars hitting you from different directions. But if you just
Mm.
hold on to that board, you're gonna pop up. And even if you let go of it,
Yeah,
like you're gonna pop up.
yeah.
And so what I've been doing, like on the spin bike specifically, and when I do cardio in the gym now, is this is gonna sound so ridiculous because it's gonna sound like I'm training to surf like Nazare or like some 100 foot waves or something. But screw it, this is what I'm doing out there. I get onto the spin bike or the elliptical or whatever I'm on, and I'll get my heart rate up, and then I'll sprint on it like as fast as I can for like 2 minutes, 2 minutes straight. So I'm totally just like breathing super heavy, and then I'll stop and I'll slow my pace down and
Mm.
I'll take a deep breath. I'll be like and hold my breath while I'm still moving. While I'm on the bike, my heart's like pumping and pumping, and I'm like holding my breath and I'm counting in my head to see how long I can hold my breath for. And right now it's about with my heart rate like at full blast like that, it's about 10 seconds. Like I'll hold my breath for
Hmm.
about 10 seconds while I'm still moving my legs and stuff, but I'm not sprinting anymore. And then what I do, I'm like, okay, just to kind of simulate like a bigger wave hold down and get my brain used to my heart pumping like that without me breathing, you know?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Tabata workout, except you're not breathing in the easy part.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like
It's
the
like hit training.
Tabata, yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, but you're trying to hold your breath, which I don't know. That's kind of
I'm, I'm not saying this is what people should do. I'm just
yeah,
saying this is what I'm doing. And I usually end up holding my breath for about 10 seconds. And then I take one deep breath because this is what I want to simulate. Because this is what
yeah.
I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of like when that happened to me and I was so out of breath that my lungs were burning and I popped up to the surface and there was another wave right there and I just freaked out and like took another deep breath and then like tried to get on my board. The wave landed on me, went into the washing machine again, popped up, and then like just scrambled to get out of the ocean with everything that I had because I was just
Yeah, yeah.
so afraid, right? Thinking I was going to drown. And so I'm simulating that. So I hold my breath once for as long as I can. And then as soon as I feel like, oh, I have to take a breath now, and right now it's usually at about 10 seconds, then I take one breath and then I hold it, or it's the other way around. You know, I take one breath and then I hold it again as if another wave just landed on me. And then I see how long I can hold that one for. And so right now, with my heart rate up like that, I hold the first breath for about 10 seconds and the second one for about 7. But it's just so I can get used to not freaking out because I was in the water at Rincon, not Puerto Rico, but California. Do you know this wave? It's like one of California's most like famous waves. Have you heard of it?
Can we see it or?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
And that's where you were. That's where you surf.
This is where I was this weekend. I've only been there a couple times. Okay, hold on one second.
So what was it like 7 footers? You said
Yeah, they were about 7 feet. You know, there were some sets that were 8, 9, or 10.
those are huge waves.
Oh, you're gonna love this picture. All
All
right.
right.
So, but the cool thing is it's a point break, so it breaks very controlled. You
Mm.
know, it's like when I got messed up surfing last month, I was surfing at a beach break, and they were like 9 feet waves on a beach break,
Mm.
just with a sand bottom. You know, so the water just smashing into the beach.
Yeah.
This is Rincon.
Wow. Is
Hmm.
are those like one good roller after another?
Yeah, they roll all the way in when it's breaking really nicely. Like see right here.
Oh my God.
So you can. This is where. Let's see. Let me try to make one of these bigger. Can I make it all the way big? Make it big. It's gonna take me to some. I want. Okay, go.
Hmm.
So yeah, when we go here, up here is where we usually park. See, this is at really low tide right now. When we were up, the
Yeah.
water was all the way up to here. This weekend, it was really high tide, like king tide. And we'll walk down here. This area, this is just a beach break, but right here, this is called backside, and then this area here is called indicators. Usually, backside and indicators have the biggest sets because it's coming straight in from the ocean, right? And
Mm.
then this area here, this is called a river mouth because there's a river right here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then you can't see the cove right now because the cove is actually down here. This whole area is the cove. Let me see if I can get a better picture that shows like everything, like the one I had before. Yeah. And the thing about this wave is it's just like, come on.
And of course you're in, you know, sunny California where you have to wait your turn before you hit a wave, right?
Oh yeah. This is actually a really cool picture. Cool story about this photo. Before I ever surfed, when I was still fixing washers and dryers. This is a really old photo, but it's like this classic that I guess is in a lot of surf shops.
Hmm.
Um, I fixed the guy who took this photo. I fixed his washing machine
No
in
way.
Santa Barbara. Yeah, he took this photo in the '70s, and he's like been living off royalties off of it for a long time. He gave me a copy of it.
He's living off royalties
Yeah.
from this picture.
Hmm.
Wow. I
Yeah.
didn't know photography was that.
Well, this was a long time ago. This was taken, like you can tell just by looking at. Well, you can't really see this guy's attire here, but these are like this is like like late '70s, I think. So
Hmm.
this went up in a bunch of like surf magazines and yeah, it was like photo of the year for something. I don't know. He told me all the accomplishments. I didn't know what they meant. I didn't even surf
Wow.
then. I was just like, cool photo. But but you
Yeah.
can see right here. This is the cove area behind this tree. The waves on a good day, you can catch waves right here at like indicators, and like they'll roll all. You can catch it all the way in.
Wow.
So it's like one of California's longest rides. So that's where I was, and I did. So we had a swell come in, and so the buoys out in the ocean. This is what my friend taught me about how to read waves that are like read the surf report. The usually when I go out and it ends up being like 6 or 7 feet, the buoys are moving at like they're moving up and down maybe like 2.5, 3 feet, right? And but this day the buoys were moving up and down at like 6.9 feet. I saw that the night before,
Yeah.
and I
Now
was like,
these buoys are how far out?
I mean, far out enough that I don't know where they're at. I don't see
Yeah.
them, you know.
So you're like, so if you're seeing a 4 foot swell off a buoy, that's coming in the next day.
No, it could be like maybe they're not that far out. Like if you see that, depends on which buoy, but the one that's closest to us is like Eastern Santa Barbara buoy. And
Mm.
if I see that, then maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours is when that's hitting the beach. so it's like a little bit of a
Wow.
lag, you know?
So it's a couple hours away for
Yeah.
the waves to come. So you can monitor some waves coming in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just guessing. Like, I don't know for sure, you know?
Yeah, those waves, they look like they're about what, 8 to 12 seconds apart from those in those pictures.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, perfect.
It's pretty manageable at that point. So the thing that's cool about that point is the wave gets really vertical and it just stays like that until it gets into the cove area. Then
Yeah.
it starts barreling. And then you can
Wow.
so it gets smaller and then it barrels and you can catch barrels there. But
Wow. Yeah,
I went
those
there
rollers are so nice.
and it's funny because as soon as we got out there, so I wish I could have like what happened on camera, right? So we went out at look at all these people in the water here. We can't see that photo. Maybe they'll
Yeah.
have it somewhere else. Yeah, look at all these people, dude. All these little dots are
Put
all
it up on
people.
can you put it up, Ron?
Oh, I'm not sharing it. Okay, I'm just like, look at this, and I'm not showing you. That's hilarious. Okay, not that one. This one.
Wow. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
yeah. That's why I don't go there all the time because it's like,
Yeah, it's like crazy good, but crazy populated.
right.
Wow.
But this is on a good day. Like, look, this is probably I would say at least like a couple feet overhead set coming in right here, right?
Yeah.
And it just wraps around the point right there. But so we went out right here where this tree is, and the tide was so high that there's like a wall and a property right there, and we were walking trying to get in the water right there, and the water was coming and hitting the wall, and it was about maybe like the water would go out and we're standing on sand and rocks, all these little pebbles and stuff, right? Little like mini boulders. And then the water comes in and it's like thigh high. And like it was the worst place to try to get in because it would brush past my legs. And then I'm like fighting to not get swept away by the ocean. And then it hits the wall that's like 2 feet behind me, like splashes up and backwashes, like just splashes way up, lands back in the water, and then it starts shooting out this way, right? And so
Yeah.
like it almost took my legs out, and then I got my fins on real quick. The next wave came, did that, and then as it was going up and it came back down, I jumped on my board to try to just ride that out to sea, you know? And so like
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
can see, like the white water's going this direction right here. So it's like the wave comes this way, hits the point and bounces that way. Like this current flows this way. So I got in and started pushing this way to get out. And like as soon as I did, there was a set right here. That lands on me. I go under it, right? And then as soon as I go under that, there's another one forming. And
Hmm.
I think that I thought that I could catch it, right? And like because all these waves they all go this way, they're all right. So I was like, if I catch this wave here, I can ride it over here and I can be out in the lineup. That's what I thought in my mind. Like this is gonna be perfect,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And um and so I see it forming and so I turn around and then I start paddling and I didn't take into account the fact that all this water like so now I'm facing that wall, right? The wall that the water's bouncing off of and this wave's behind me, but the wall is probably like 30 feet away, right? And I'm like, I'm going to catch this and just go that way, so it doesn't matter. But I didn't realize I couldn't paddle to catch the wave because all this water is getting sucked out from from like hitting that wall and splashing back, you know? And so I get on my board, and even though I'm paddling, like I'm facing this direction, I'm paddling, the wave's coming, I'm just getting sucked up into the wave anyways. Doesn't matter how hard I paddle because I'm like in the worst like rip current ever.
No
And then
way. So you're getting sucked up like right into the barrel.
yeah, yeah, basically. And so then the wave just lands like on my head and on my back. And then like, so this is like within 2 minutes of getting in the water. I get in the water, all this strong current. I go under a wave. I'm like, all right, catch this one. And then I'm like, all right, cool. This is gonna be sick. Like my first like good wave at Rincon, and then it just like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
eats my lunch, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah, and that's a
And
lot of force when water's coming down hard on you.
yeah, and then like to make things better, like there's a whole audience, right? Because that place is not, you never get it to yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you always have the feeling of when you like mess up on a wave like that like somebody else is watching and they're pissed off that you ruined that wave
For
and that
them.
nobody else could have caught it because you had to do that.
Yeah. You know,
Especially when
that's
you're on a bodyboard.
yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I love about surfing up in New England because you don't have that popularity yet. You have a lot of people, but not like people can catch any wave they want
Mm,
and do. There's no lineup.
mm. It's not like that picture I showed you with all the.
Holy Jesus, no.
So the rest of my day out there was kind of ruined a little bit because I had it in my head like these aren't how I thought they would be, and I was like scared. And so like I put myself in perfect position to catch the bigger waves that were coming in. Most of the people were in the cove area where they were smaller. So like me and my friend were like in like maybe like 5, 10 other people were out where they were bigger. And so it's like I had all the opportunity to catch all these waves, and I'd see them line up. And at that place, they line up like from really far away. Like they get tall and they're standing up and they look vertical, and it looks like, oh crap, I got to duck dive under this monster.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going like that for a while, and it's just like
Mm.
breaking along the edge. And so I'm not used to that because I'm used to the beach breaks where when they line up, then they go over. They don't just keep
Yeah.
riding like that at a regular sandy beach.
That's like a dream wave right there. So, do you see many paddleboarders out there?
No, mainly short boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys on short boards. I've only been there twice, so even though it's right up the road, yeah, I don't think I saw any paddleboarders there. Not yet, at least. I'm sure there are. But yeah, after that, I just kept blowing waves. I'd be in perfect position, and I'd see it all vertical, and then I would try to paddle, and I'd be like, no one's trying to catch it, and I would be scared, and I'd be like, no, nope, and I'd just go over it.
Uh,
I did
it's
that a whole
almost
bunch.
yeah, yeah. So it's almost like, you know, how like you always learn from your mistakes. Like the first year I was surfing, I didn't know how to read a wave. I was just out there. Hey, whatever happens, happens, you know? And then, but once you start understanding the flow of that wave coming, you get to realize, okay, I got to hit it right here, or I've got to be this quick to get this one, or I've got to slow this down a little bit to get it, or there's so many different techniques, but you learn to see the wave.
Yeah, and every one is different too. Like
Yeah,
every like even like waves at the same beach on different days are
yeah,
different because if the swell is different, they're going to hit that beach different. But I mean, they're kind of
absolutely.
similar. They're similar, but like especially if you go from one beach to another, one break to another, like I was just not prepared for how that wave worked. And I was like, and I kept thinking like, all right, like it's going to be whitewater, or I'd see it lined up like that and I would think I'm in like the bad spot to be in. I'm right where it's going to break at. So then I start paddling towards it, and then I turn around and try to catch it, and I'd miss it because I was already in the perfect spot. I just needed to wait there, and I was like, "What is going on?" Yeah, but the one thing that scared me the most is that I started to like ride it. I started to catch some waves. I'd paddle, and then I look, and that wave would get so vertical, and I'm laying down. I'm lying down. So like at the crest of the wave, we're on a surfboard. You usually like pop up, and then you stand up. I'm laying down, and this wave is just a vertical drop, right? It goes like
Yeah,
that. And I'm like, I'm about to just ride down this 9 foot thing head first. And
yeah.
I'd freak out and then like pull off and be like, nope.
Wow. Yeah, because your board's actually going to leave the wave for a split second. It's going to be just air, and then you're going to
Yeah,
hit the bottom of that.
yeah.
You know. That's
And
pretty cool. That's wild.
it's weird because I've done that before, but I guess not on anything that's like that much taller than me. You
Mm,
know, I did catch one wave that day. It wasn't one of the bigger ones. It's probably like maybe 5 feet.
yeah.
Yeah,
Some days I like that. Some days you catch like one or two waves and you Well, I caught a couple of them. Sometimes
yeah,
the waves are so fast that they're hard to catch.
yeah. But I felt a little bit better because I went to the normal beach break that I go to. Like
Yeah.
after that, not to get in the water, just to look at it because I knew that it was a swell that was in. And I went out there and I looked at what I'd normally go into, double overhead, like 10 to 12 foot waves.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like don't feel bad about you not catching all the waves today. This is not
Yeah.
it's not a
Jesus.
beginner set, not a
Yeah.
beginner swell that's coming in right now. And so, yeah,
Wow, that's pretty good. You always learn too. The next time you go out there, you'll be like, okay, I know where not to be on this one.
right,
You
right.
know?
And I know where to not get in at too now.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's just again, learning from your mistakes, getting experience from your mistakes, right?
That's life.
That is life, you
One of
know?
the shortcuts to life and what you just talked about though is my friend, he told me this when we got out of the water because he's competed professionally and in bodyboarding, boogie
Oh,
boarding,
no
whatever you want to
kidding.
call it,
Yeah.
and he's been doing it since he was 10 years old, and he's 39, right? And so he's been doing it for a long time. So that's the guy who I'm following into all these big waves because
Wow.
he's like it's epic out here, let's go, and I'm like I'm afraid, but okay.
The guy's like ESPN material. Come on, Ron, you've got this.
And I'm just out there trying to stay alive.
That'd be awesome.
But the thing is, when we got out of the water that day, when we were driving back towards my house, because we carpooled there, he's like, I know you didn't catch because I was complaining because I only caught one wave. I was like, man, we're out there for hours, I only caught one wave. So I feel like a freaking kook out there. And he's like, dude, he's like, you're not a kook. He's like, you're learning. He's like, actually, he's like, I'm impressed because when you
Hmm.
told me that you wanted to start bodyboarding, he's like, he's like, there's so many people that I've known that have seen me bodyboarding and be like, I'm gonna do that too, and they go buy a bodyboard, buy fins, and then like they're afraid to go out there when there's any waves like there is today, like,
Yeah.
and so they only go when it's like 1 foot, and they're not really doing it, they're just kind of out there like playing in the water,
Yeah,
but then
right,
they
right.
say they want to do it, but then they don't do it,
Yeah.
and then it's like, and then I don't want to actually take them when I want to go because I don't want to be the guy who brought out this person who's just getting in everybody's way and isn't paying attention because out here that matters, you
Yeah,
know?
you have social pressure on your waves.
Yeah,
When people watch when we're surfing out here, we got this big cement wall on one of the places I go in Northampton. But what happens is everyone sits on the wall and watches all the surfers and paddleboarders come in. So if one day you suck at it, people are just, well, that guy really sucks. You know what I mean? There's no audience, but we don't have to worry about, you know, um, a local coming up to us and punching us in the face. You know what I mean?
right. Or get into an argument in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I actually almost dropped in on this surfer. For anybody watching, if you don't know about dropping in is if somebody's already riding a wave, because there's only one spot to be on a wave. Didn't know this till I started surfing. It's like there's the unbroken wave and then the broken wave, and you're right there. That's the only spot to be on. So it's one person per wave. And if
Mm,
somebody's already riding one, and then you drop in on that wave, like that's no. It's like, hey, it was already taken, and it's because it could be dangerous, right? And it blows it's just all bad. And so I was at Rincon at that spot. It's like probably like a decent like 7 footer or something like that. Something that was a little bit taller than I am. I'm 6'4". That's how I know if it's above 6 foot or not pretty easily. And so it was taller than me, and I see it coming. I start paddling, and I was like, okay, I'm in perfect position. I like to be on the shoulder of the wave where it's not super. I don't want it to get inverted when I drop in. I just want to go on it and then like gradually make my way to the pocket on these bigger ones, you know.
Mm.
And so I was in perfect position to do that. And then as I'm at the point where like I'm holding the nose of my board, and the nose of my board, like if my phone is the wave, right? And then you ride down right here, my body board is like this on the top, right? And so the nose is already hanging off the edge, and all I have to do is like my hands are on the nose. So all I have to do is like lean forward, and then I'm going to slide into it. And as soon as I'm like that, I see this surfer, because I didn't look, he's already on the wave. He's like flying, he's right in front of me. And I was like, oh shit. And I like leaned back as hard as I could. So as soon as I pull off, then I see him just like eat shit and fall like head first into the face of the wave. And at first I was like, oh, like
Whoops.
did he do that because he thought I was gonna drop in on him? And I was like, and so like the wave like went over, and then he popped up and he's right there. And I was like, I don't even think I said sorry. I didn't say sorry because I didn't drop in on him. If he's mad, that's his fault. If he aborted, like it's his fault, you know? But this is all the stuff I have to deal with out there, right?
Wow.
So as soon as he pops up, I just said, hey, I don't know if you saw, I pulled back at the last second, man. Like that's allowed. I'm allowed to get in perfect position to catch a wave. That's not dropping in on you, you know? And he
So
was like,
on the lineup though, were you ahead? So you're ahead of the lineup though.
yeah. So he was in the right spot. But at that spot, there's so many people there
Yeah.
that everybody knows that, like, hey, if there's a wave coming, everybody kind of goes for it and gets to the point where like they can pull off. Because if there's somebody on it and they fall, then like
Someone else can grab it.
you can catch it. You know,
Yeah.
if you're the next in line, you know,
Hmm.
or if they fall, then this guy pulls off and now you're next. You can still go in. And so people don't care if like multiple people are going for something, and then they're, as long as they're all pulling off. And if you do drop in and you get on it and you're like, oh, there's somebody there, just like pull off over the like just get off the wave, you know. And
I don't know if
but
I could like that pressure.
yeah, it's not my favorite, but I'm getting used to it, you know.
Yeah.
But even to be able to do that, it's like my friend's like, yeah, if you drop in on somebody on accident, just pull off the wave. I'm like, you actually have to like know how to surf decently to like just pull off of an 8-foot wave. It's like, okay, just get ahead of it and then just ride over the edge and let them have it. It's like my usual way of pulling off is like I just ride it until it won't let me anymore.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Ride it to the end.
But yeah, I think that
So your workouts are tailored now to holding your breath. First of all, going as hard as you can on the bike. Would you say 20 seconds?
it's usually a couple minutes. Like
Wow.
going as far, like 2 minutes. Like I'm sprinting. I'm trying to simulate a paddle out when it's like the waves are big and I have to paddle my ass off to try to get out there. Because
Yeah.
usually that's when I like if I get like worked by any big waves, it's because I'm trying to get out past them, and it's like the last one or two I can't get past, and then they just handle me. You know, so
Hmm.
it's like I'm already sprinting, just trying to get out there,
Yeah.
and then my heart's beating, and so I'm trying to simulate that whole thing. You know,
Yeah. Definitely a great workout.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, when you first started paddleboarding, did you go with other people who were better than you already, or did you just start like kind of learning like with people at the same time that were at the
Yeah.
same skill level?
Well, so what happened was I started paddleboarding on a lake. I mean, we're talking a long
Okay.
time ago, right? So
Yeah.
first I had to get the skill of just standing up on a board. It was weird. When I
Right.
started paddleboarding, people were like, they didn't even know what paddleboarding was. They're like, I thought you were walking on water, you know? So, but then, I'd talk my friends into, hey, in the people who work for me, hey, you should get boards. They're wicked cool. It's a great way to relax at night. So one of,
Cool. I love.
Yeah, wicked cool, right? That's New England for you. So, one of the guys that worked for me, he says, I took my board to the ocean. I'm like, what? You know, because I never heard of anyone doing that. He's
Yeah,
like, yeah, it was pretty cool. I tried to, ride some waves. So then, of course, I had to do it.
right.
And yeah, and then the minute I hit like my first wave, I watched YouTube videos of how to do it. And because it takes skill to
Yeah,
hit them. You can't just hit them. You got to paddle, you got to learn a certain way. And then I started going with one of my friends who was addicted to it like I was. We would, anytime there was any kind of waves out there, we were on them. And
right.
it was kind of cool. We just kind of got better and better. But, of course, you always run into people who are so freaking good. It's like unbelievable. They can hit everything and got great balance, and they've been doing it their whole entire life.
Right. It's funny. You saying that reminds me of the first time that I went out to that spot that I was talking about. I was like in position. There was like literally 100 people in the water. I caught 2 waves that day. It was almost impossible to catch waves. So many people, it wasn't fun,
Yeah,
'cause so I was out there for 3 hours, basically like paddling to get into a wave and being like, nope, there's already 2 people on it. Pull off. Paddle up, there's already somebody on it and pull off. But caught 2 that day. But one of the times I paddled to get into a wave, there's somebody on it and he's just like ripping down the line. Like all these cutbacks, all this like it looks like him and his surfboard are like the same entity. Like he doesn't
yeah,
even have to think. And then and so I pull back, and as soon as I pull back, he comes up to the wave right where I was at, just does this massive cutback, sprayed like so much water like directly into my face. And like it was like this huge spray. This spray is probably like 6, 8 feet past where he turned.
yeah.
And it was like getting hit by a fire hose in the face for me.
Wow, get off my wave.
I told my friend about it when we got out of the water, and he started laughing, and he's like, "I love doing that to people."
Wow, yeah,
And I was like, one day I'll experience what it's like to do that to other people."
yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I can see you surfing. you know I know you like the
yeah,
boogie board, but I can see you surfing. I can.
yeah. The boogie board is just to get me comfortable out there and get me learning how to read waves and
Yeah,
all that stuff. I already have like a wave storm, a foam board.
mm.
I haven't really taken out yet because it's not the taking like when there's 8, 9 foot waves. I'm not gonna go take a foam board out there to learn how to stand up in the white water.
Yeah, not a
Like,
not a good idea at all.
yeah, like I'm gonna take the thing that I know how to ride that's meant to drop in on critical wave. When I look and there's like 2 foot waves and that's it, and it looks like it sucks. Well, I'm gonna go take my foam board out there and learn how to stand up. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So think about this, Ron. Right. So you're, what'd you say, 6'4", 6'5"? So
6'4".
you're on a 9-foot wave. Now you're 15 feet in the air looking down because of your height, right?
Yeah.
It is freaky, man. You know?
Oh, I know the perspective from skateboarding and riding on like 6 foot like half pipes.
Yeah.
And I used to be afraid of like just dropping in on a 6 foot half pipe. You put your skateboard on the end
Oh my God, yeah.
and then you just go in, right? Because
And
I'm 6
that,
feet tall and I'm
like,
12 feet in the air, and it's like, oh crap.
hey, at least if you screw up, you're landing in water
Yeah,
versus cement,
right.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's gotta hurt.
Not when you know what's funny? I'm less afraid of that than the water because I used to think that same thing. Like, oh, you just land in water. It's like you fall down a hill into water. But I never took into account, yeah, like when you fall in a wave, you fall down a hill or like a like little mini mountain,
Yeah, and you
like
get sucked right
into
back
some
up.
water, but then the hill runs over you.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't happen on the concrete.
Yeah, yeah. I think I sent you some videos before too of this guy who's waited his whole life. Fuck, right? And you just see the guy getting pummeled. Like he
Yeah,
literally gets caught. in the washing machine.
I'm gonna see if I can show you. Have you heard of this place called the Wedge?
The Wedge, where's that?
It's in like Orange County. Like, okay, this is insane. The Wedge. Hold on, I'm pulling up YouTube. This place is like it's got this jetty. Here, I'll show you the surf line real quick. I'm pulling all this stuff up before I share my screen, so that way I'm not fumbling around. Because just showing you the jetty will like make sense. Okay, then we're gonna go the Wedge body boarding. So it's this place down in Orange County, and the waves get like 30 foot plus in the
Wow,
summer, not in the winter, in the summer.
really?
Yeah, and it's like this weird anomaly. It's because of like the harbor entrance and the way that it's built.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's like being in Portugal.
yeah, well, in the summer we get a bunch of south swell that comes in from the south, right? And so if you look at it right now, like this is it right now. It's winter, so there's no south swell coming. So it's like
Huh.
nothing here, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy flat.
If you look at like this, uh, it's right here. This is the Wedge Beach, and so the water's coming from the south, and it bounces off of this jetty right here, which is probably kind of hard to see for you. It bounces off of this jetty, and then it wedges up and gets huge right here. And so
Wow.
this is the wedge. Hold on. Turn the sound off.
Yeah, wow.
And it's a pretty famous spot for like bodyboarding because it like just gets huge and you can get like good airs off of it. My friend, he's like, I want to take you there next summer. I'm like, dude,
Wow.
I don't like he wants to go so bad. And I'm like, because he's been out there already. You know, he's
Whoa.
bodyboarded. Uh,
Yeah,
he's
they're all
body.
bodyboarders. Look at these guys. Watch this guy. He's gonna literally leave the wave.
Dude, did you see him launch just off that bump?
Oh my god.
I'm waiting for dude. Like, there's like some gnarly like crashes here too, like gnarly wipeouts. So that was decent. A lot of guys like launch and get air off of this wave, like off the
Yeah.
lip. Are you gonna?
Oh.
And it's a shore break. It just breaks right on the shore. Like,
Oh. That's pretty cool.
oh, he's going the wrong. Oh,
Hey, make sure you get a video when you go out there.
yeah, for sure. Do something cool, or just make it. Yeah, like out there, it's like if you just make it, you're good.
Oh, they
Like
got a surfer out there.
it's like such a weird mutant wave because it's like two waves collide into each other to make it. This isn't even a huge day for the wedge.
Huh.
This is like a smaller day. Let me see if I can find. Huh. Party
There's three of
wave.
them right there. Whoa.
Let's see. The wedge. All right, watch this, dude. Wipeouts. Dude.
Whoa. Awesome. You know, what I've done too with my buddy that I've been surfing with for 10 years, we'll hit the same wave together once in a while, usually at the end of the night, and just friggin' scream and holler the whole wave, It's so much fun.
Look at that, dude. Just right onto the
Man.
shore, man. Like it's sand right there.
Oh. That guy probably broke his ankles.
People have broken their necks on this wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not a beginner wave. Oh my.
Yeah.
They're on. It looks.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, that's like it's time to go home now. you know?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, Ron. Let me know when you do this. I might
he
just
want,
come to. I might just come just to film it.
he wants to
Oh,
go next summer, man, because that's when it's swelling, and that's when it will be breaking there. You saw from the cam that I showed you, it's like just flat there right now.
look at
Um,
this. That's all we've got left of them is the board.
right? Like, I'm scared to go out there.
Do you have um? Do you have a fin on that board?
No, there's no fins.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but my friend wants to go out there and, like, mind you, he's bodyboarded pipeline in Hawaii when it's
Yeah.
breaking, like when it's like legitimate pipeline, like 30-foot waves at pipeline. So it's like, yeah, of course you want to go here. I don't.
Well, he's a pro.
Yeah,
Look at this guy. His board's smashed. Oh, there it is.
yeah,
Wow. 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 That guy was actually going to try to catch that on a surfboard.
yeah. This is more of a bodyboarding wave because
Yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
because you can take late drops on a bodyboard like that and still make it.
Yeah. I mean, that was crazy. Whoa.
You see him pop out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like, I guess maybe at some part in the back of my head, doing this cardio stuff, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm training for, even though I don't know it. Because I told my friend that I'm doing this cardio training for the waves that we go in, and he just started laughing, like, that's ridiculous. Like, you don't need to do that for that. And I was like, dude, it's just gonna help me get better. But I know, dude, you see his fin pop off and hit him in the head right there.
Yeah.
But I know that it's gonna come in handy if I ever go into waves like this.
Wow. Hope his foot's not in it. Man,
Dude,
that's exciting.
a lot of people come here just to
Oh.
watch people.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
not? Look at the footage you get.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's not that far away from where I live at. It'd probably take a couple hours to get there. You'd have to
On yeah, by car or bicycle.
if you by bike, it'd probably take a little bit longer, maybe 30 minutes longer.
I think if you're gonna do that one, I would definitely take the car.
Yeah. And take the car like the night before, up in a hotel or something close by and
Yeah.
yeah. But that's not happening anytime soon. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, no, like immediately no.
Pretty cool though. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
hearing that one.
yeah. I just got to keep training, and and I'll go out there and I'll get my ass kicked out there. But the cool thing is, it's like even if I just go out there, paddle out, and like paddle out, and I'm just out there, and I'm like watching all these other guys catch these things, and then I
Yeah.
like catch one of the small ones. I'm like, all right, I think I can come in a little bit. There's a small one. I can come in and catch that. Hopefully, I actually catch it because if I miss it, then the next ones are gonna suck. But I'll just catch this small one and ride it all the way into the beach. And I guess there the water pulls out so hard that as soon as you ride it into the beach, you gotta like get off your board and sprint like as hard as you can to get actually. It's hard to get out of the water.
Yeah, it'll suck you right up.
Yeah,
You know what's pretty cool about that stuff though? When you do something like that and you do it with your buddy, you're like, holy shit, we just survived that.
yeah,
Never mind, wrote it. We survived. That's a hell of a good feeling.
yeah. That would be the whole objective to go out there and just stay alive.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, when I was riding enduro bikes, and I still do, but it's nothing like we used to do. I used to belong to this group, and we would do these sections, and you would look on that trail and you say, I can't believe we just rode a motorcycle through that, and
Mm.
it's on, you get hurt, you can get hurt. I think that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, it's like the same thing as skateboarding without a helmet. I heard Jordan Peterson talking about this, and I never really understood this until I heard him talking about it. Because when I was a kid, my parents used to be like, "Just wear your helmet, wear your helmet," and I'm like, "No!" Like, even though it's smart to, so you don't hit your head, right?
Yeah.
But this guy Jordan Peterson was talking about this, and it was like a video of people skateboarding downstairs and like falling, but they were falling in a way where like even when they land, like they land on their feet, roll onto their back, and then do like kind of like a back handspring to like avoid their head hitting anything, and then they like get up because they just know how to fall on concrete and roll.
Yeah.
And he was saying that like yeah, kids on skateboards, he's like they don't get enough credit because what they're doing is they're systematically exposing themselves to danger, and they're doing it to face the danger. Not, and that's why they don't want to wear a helmet and all these pads, because they're like, no, I want to face this danger and to face this fear and overcome it. And it just progressively keeps going and going. Um, and that's kind of like what it feels like being in the water too, at least for me, you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
because I started off being afraid to go where I couldn't touch, and that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely an element to that. I used to always say, as a matter of fact, on the back of my fender, when I first got into enduro riding, I said, do something that scares you. Because you look at some of these things that you're about to try to take a motorcycle over, and you're
Yeah,
like, wow, this could go horribly wrong.
right.
And I remember going up these faces of mountains, and we'd do these events, like 200-mile events through the woods. And this one event, this guy falls down this cliff, literally a cliff on his motorcycle. Like
Was
he
he like trying
missed.
to go up it and then he
Yeah, he
fell
was trying to
backwards?
go up and he went to the left where there was nothing to stop you. Right? So down he goes tumbling, 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 tumbling. So he gets to the bottom, and I went down there just to check on him because the guy wasn't really moving much. And he literally had a stick going right through his neck and right out his cheekbone.
What?
Yeah. And he's like, pull it out. I'm like, I'm not pulling that thing out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things where you can face danger where it's like, I think anything that has like like a motor in it, and you're facing danger, it's like the stakes are way higher, you know? Like anything
Yeah.
that has a motor in it, whether it's like riding a dirt bike up a mountain, whether you're like in like I've done that in ATVs, like up steep sand dunes, but I've also seen people try to do that and then roll backwards, and then they're flipping with this giant ATV, on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But I still think that it's good. One thing that I've noticed is that when I get out of the water, when I get humbled by the ocean, after that, and I get home, when I take a warm shower, and then I eat some food, nothing else stresses me out at all.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, like I can complain about all these different things. Like off the top of my head, the maintenance guy came to fix the fridge and it's not fixed yet, it's still making this weird sound. And it's like, why didn't he just? Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it's really it's all kinds of emotions going, right?
Yeah.
This sense of accomplishment, but then you've got the camaraderie. You just did that with your friend, and you can't even explain that online. Man, we just hit some waves that were so intense. I'm in the barrel, and the thing's starting to pick me up. Right, it's starting to pick me up, and you know what's going to happen. I'm going to get catapulted.
Right.
Right, and then you do get catapulted, and your board's flying through the air, and then you just, wow, I survived that.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
but all in good fun.
So real quick, let me know what you think about this, Brian, because I was thinking about this before we hopped on. I was thinking about inviting. I know some people like you and me. We've both kind of have transformed our lives, in different ways, and that's what inspired us to start this and like really just like talk about because all the stuff that we talked about today. This is all like mindset stuff. It's like facing fears, growing in different
Yeah.
ways, right?
Yeah.
It just happens to be with a hobby that we both like really love to do. But I was thinking about bringing some other people on, like inviting them to come on, so we can kind of hear their stories too.
Yeah.
Um, like moving forward, I don't know exactly when. I'll send some invites out and try to schedule them like weeks out in advance so that we know. Um, but I think that'd be cool to just try it
Yeah,
out.
definitely. Make it a community.
Yeah, but
I think it'd be a lot of fun. There's a lot of people who do a lot of mindset things, and know a lot of mindset things that can definitely add to anything.
right. So, all right, I think that's it for the episode today.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story, Ron. That was great.
Yeah, and you too with the what do you call that again?
What part? The Enduro? Enduro motorcycles?
Enduro
Yeah,
riding. Yeah,
yeah,
it took me a minute to realize what you were talking about, but as soon as you started describing, I was like, okay. I didn't know what the name for that was. I've
yeah,
just seen it.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Right on.